Let's go ahead and learn about different ways in which we can handle inputs in JavaScript. In our HTML, we have different ways to take input from users. So the first one is of type text, which has an ID of text. The second one is of type select with an ID of gender, which contains three values: male, female, and others. The last one is of type checkbox with an ID of terms. In our JavaScript, we have selected all those three input forms by using the ID selector and store it in a variable input text, select, and terms. Looking at the form, we can see for email, we can input something like test@example.com, and we know that here the kind of event is a keyword event. So for handling keyword event, we'll say input text.addEventListener. It will accept the type of event, that is key up, and it will accept a function. So we will pass a function called handle key that we will create just above that. Function handle key. So whenever addEventListener calls this function handle key, it will pass an event object. So how about just checking the value of event object by doing console.log event. Now if we go ahead and see, we can see the value here. And to access the full value, we just have to go event.target, and here, so event.target is our input element, and every input element has a special property called value, which contains the value of the element. So here, instead of just saying event, let's go ahead and say event.target.value. Now if we refresh and start typing, we'll see the value keeps updating. So in this way, we can get access to input of type text value. What if we want to store the value of all these three elements in an object? So we can go ahead, create an object called user info. That will be a blank object. So every time event is happening, we can keep adding the information in user info variable. So here we'll say user info dot email is equal to event.target.value. So here, if we refresh this page and say test@gmail.com, now if we access the value of user info, we'll see that value here. Now we'll go ahead and handle the select element. And for that, we'll do select.addEventListener. But addEventListener will be of type what? So here we can see that maybe it feels like click is a type of event we are listening for. Okay, let's go ahead and do click. And here we'll say handle select. So handle select will get access to event, and here instead of updating email, we'll update gender. Now if we refresh this page and say test here in email female and check the value of user info, we'll see the value of gender is still male. So this is not working out for us. Like if we click on male again, so right now the value is male, and we check the value, we get it. So it is not perfect way of handling select element. So the type of event you should be listening for select element is called change. It's like whenever change will happen in select element, handle select will be called. So let's see that. So we'll say test, and here we can say, we can click on female and click on user info, and here the value is updated properly. So email is test, gender is female. So now if we change the value to male and check the value again, we can see it is working properly. So whenever you are handling select element, you can use change event type. Now we'll go ahead and handle the checkbox. For that, we'll say terms.addEventListener, and the type of event we are listening for is click, because we know that when we click on checkbox, it changes the value. So here we'll say click, and the handler we'll pass is handle terms. We'll go ahead, create the function. So we are looking for click event on terms, and when that happens, handle terms will be called, and handle terms will get access to event object, and we can go ahead and say console.log event. We know the checkbox will be available at event.target. So let's go ahead and do that. So when we click on it, we can see that element. How about doing console.dir? Now we got that element in object form. So here every input of type checkbox has a special property called checked, which gives you the value whether that checkbox is clicked or not. So we'll go ahead, update the user info by saying userinfo.agreeTerms is equal to event.target.checked. Now if we refresh the page and fill in the value test@gmail.com, female and agree. Let's click on user info and we see that we have three values. Agree terms is true, email is this, and gender is female. If we go ahead and change the value and uncheck checkbox, we'll see the value got updated, that is false, male, and test@gmail.com. So this is how we can handle different types of input elements. While handling this form, we got to know that choosing the right type of event becomes a huge pain for us. Is for different types of input, we are using different types of event. So now we'll go ahead and learn about a special type of event that can handle all these three input elements. And that is called input, just input. So here we can go ahead and say input. Even here we can go ahead and say input. So instead of choosing all these three different things, we just chose input. Let's see what changed for us. So we'll say test@gmail.com, here female and agree. Let's look at user info and we'll see the output is very similar. So input is a type of event that can handle all the input elements with just one type to add event listener. So this becomes a lot easier for us to think. So every time we are using input text or select or checkbox, we can just go ahead and use input as a type of event to add event listener, and it will work properly for us.